So yeah, we have the January Shine On transformation, and more or less it's going to look the same as it does in our group, where we do the weekly calls and we just keep filling the group with lots of information. I know that we're going to focus on adding in more like emotional wellness stuff as well. So you'll be seeing more meditations and more like movement and different things that we're going to be adding into the group as well. And Shine On transformation, it technically starts like the accelerated version where you're doing the 10-day parasite cleanse. We're aiming to start that around day 11 in January. So give or take a few days for everyone. But basically, if you start on the core 4 nutrients by the 8th of January, that'll kind of get us all on the same page so that we're all kind of going through that 10-day immersion period around the same time, give or take. So yeah, do you have any particular questions about it, Jennifer? Are you going to be joining us?
Yeah, I'm planning to start like what I've done is the 30-day. So I kind of try and start with even though I've done it before, this will be like the 3rd time. I'm still going to try and get back into just doing the 30-day so that my cleanse XR will be on that day 11.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Great. Round 3, congratulations. That's amazing. That's when you really start getting into the lifestyle.
Although I've had a little lag behind the last couple of weeks with just, not totally, but just kind of cooking and eating more.
Yeah. Well, and that's the idea of the Shine On is we're like, end of the year, holidays. Everybody probably just needs to, oops, that's my baby. Just needs a little bit more support and getting back on track and just getting more back into the lifestyle. And really in January, we're not so much focused on as much cleansing as we are just like really kind of, I like to consider it a nutritional makeover where we're really just feeding our body the nutrients it needs, the micronutrients, all the vitamins and minerals to just help our organs work more optimally. Because wintertime can be a harsher time for the body to really go into a deep cleanse. Like a deep cleansing time is more, springtime is a really great time to do that when, we're getting out of the winter, and it's just a really good time for cleansing. So winter's a little bit more for me about like creating a really great foundational base and really getting our nutrition bases covered and just having that gentle detoxification and using lots of tools of meditation and breath and movement and those things to aid in the process as well. So that's what Shine On's going to focus on. Does anyone have any immediate questions? Caitlin, hi, how are you?
I do have a question. I'm in the 30-day first time round. I'm about 3 weeks out. I've been following it strictly, I would say 90% of the time. But I'm just sort of wondering, because I'm not sure I'm doing everything right. When I have fruit in the morning after the shake, is that supposed to be spaced about 2 hours after the shake? Like they're supposed to be, like I just did an oops today. I didn't have lunch and it's 4 o'clock and I got shaky because I actually did not have my salad or my shake, or it just time got away from me. And I'm still feeling a little shaky and I downed my shake and I'm like, oh, okay, well, can I just go ahead and have fruit too to sort of not be feeling shaky? Is that okay?
Yeah, so I mean, the schedule is there just for guidance. And it's really not, first and foremost, we want to really just start listening to our bodies. And like if your body's shaking, it's telling you it needs something. So if you're an hour away, like don't wait, eat, But really the idea with the 2-hour schedule is a lot of times when people come into the ULT, it's kind of a drastic shift for them. And we just want to make sure people are getting enough calories, since a lot of people are kind of like cutting back on some of the more high caloric foods and eating more fruits and veggies. So that 2-hour schedule just makes it so that your blood sugar is normalized and you're just getting something in your system. That being said, if you're going to do the fruit and the smoothie at the same time, that's totally fine. I would just suggest always trying to eat fruit first. because that's sometimes when people can experience different bloating and different things. So one of the best things we can do for our body is proper food combining. And really one of the #1 rules is for melons specifically, eat melons by themselves because they digest the quickest out of any food. And so if you put a big meal on top and then eat the melon actually starts to kind of like putrefy. And that's when people can get into issues of candida and different things. So eat melons by themselves, and then fruit as well. Fruit is like very fastly digesting, even more so than vegetables. So if you're gonna do the fruit, I would just say try to do the fruit first and then maybe have the smoothie 15 to 20 to 30 minutes after that, if you really want to optimize proper food combining, just to make sure you're not getting any gas or bloating. But that being said, I don't think you have to follow strictly the 2-hour schedule. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if I have a shake in the morning, I don't know. Do you know Michelle Ricci?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm like Michelle. I have Lyme, SIRS. So that's part of why I'm a health coach. But nothing, had worked to help me increase what I can eat. My diet had shrunk, and I pretty much couldn't eat any fruit at all. It's only been 3 weeks, and I have three fruits that I can eat that I haven't been able to eat in a year. So I'm just thrilled. I didn't have expectations. So I'm gradually increasing, what I can have. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the most amazing things I've seen about this. Like, I used to not be able to eat strawberries. I grew up with like a lot of lymphatic congestion and had to get my tonsils removed. Had I known what I know now, I probably would not have gone that route. But and then once I started cleaning up my lymph system, like I have zero problem with strawberries now. And there's so many stories about that, is where a lot of when we hold a lot of lymph congestion, our body is just more sensitive to things. And as we start to get the acidic waste out and start to get the congestion out and our kidneys start filtering, a lot of people find that they can start incorporating things back into their diet after they've gotten that, flush out of the lymphatic system. So I'm glad to hear that you're noticing that for yourself.
Is there a place where I can like get some of the science behind what you guys are doing? I think I've just been overwhelmed by all the technology, all the different places to go on Facebook. So, and I'm a little bit older, so I know, yeah.
Yeah, so one of my favorite videos, we actually have them in the Regenerative Health app. So if you go into the topics section, we have a module called Educational Videos. And there's some videos on there that are really easy, and they're like 5 minutes long, and they talk about kidney filtration and lymphatic congestion, and they just really simply break it down. So I would start with those videos because they're very visual and they're not too like heady. It's very easy to understand. So I would check that out. And then another resource that I've used a lot is this. Actually, I have it right here. I'll show it to you guys. This is a really fantastic book if you want to like invest in something for yourselves for learning a little more. It's called the Detox Miracle Source Book by Dr. Robert Morse. And Dr. Robert Morse has been myself and Carrie and Rita's main teacher, and we're the ones that host this group. And it's regenerative detoxification, and he really goes into each system in the body in a very simplified way and really explains like how the lymph system works and how the kidneys work. And it's just a really amazing book to kind of further educate yourself if you're wanting more of like a read. But yeah, like I said, those educational videos are really good in the app as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anybody else got some questions?
Then what about mixing, like, this is rare that I'm having a shake at this time of the day, but usually in the morning when I do my shake, not 75% of the time, I use ginger that's either fresh or that I've cut up fresh and stuck in the freezer, and then frozen combination of either mango blueberries, or there's a combination that I like that's like pineapple, strawberries, and some other frozen fruit that I throw in. just to make it more of a substantial feeling for me. So, so is that something I shouldn't be doing?
No, that's a good point. I do the same thing as well. And I mean, I'm talking more about like vegetables, like when you're eating, let's say broccoli, that's in its full form, but the shakes are already a little bit pre-digested. So it's a little bit easier on the body. So the shakes actually digest quicker than if you're just going to go eat a big salad because they've already been broken up, and the enzymes are already intact to really make them digest easy in the body. So I also do fruit smoothies with my shakes, but if you are experiencing any kind of bloatings with the shake, I would just be more cautious of the food combining because it depends. Some people have a little bit more stomach fire and are able to handle different food combinations, and then other people get adversely affected from mixing fruits and veggies. So it's really just, again, tuning in with your own body and for the most part, trying to just stick with the rule of eating fruit by itself. You know, with the shake that's already pre-digested, it's definitely not the end of the world. But if you are experiencing bloating, I would probably do them separate. Does that make sense? Cool. Any other questions? Veronica, I don't know if you're able to pop off, but curious if you're feeling better.
Hey Mary, I'm feeling better. I'm just getting a little bit of headaches every once in a while. They're not really bad. They're just like a I don't know. It's like a real light headache. They're not my normal headaches. So that's not concerning. I know that that's something that happens with detox, but I keep forgetting the aminos in the afternoon. Now, should I just take them when I've realized that I've forgotten them?
Yeah, I do the same thing. I
Okay.
often forget them. And if it's getting further into the evening, I usually don't. I'll just skip them for the night. But if it's, you know, before 5, personally, I'll take my second round of aminos if I forget.
Okay, thank you.
Why would you not take them after 5? Just out of curiosity.
Just because sometimes they give me a lot of energy. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but it's just, again, to each his own sensitivity. But sometimes when I take them, I'm like ready to go and I really should go to sleep. How are you doing, Elizabeth? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me? Okay, there. I'm doing well. I'm going to start my first cleanse on Monday. So I'm just listening and taking it all in, and I'll see how it goes. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm kind of just trying to simplify my life, all kinds of external priorities and stuff, so that when I start, I can just really focus in on, yeah, going to be adding a lot more fruit.
Yeah, have you started to do any kind of preparation? Like, have you been eating more fruits and veggies or been eliminating anything that you're wanting to not eat? Or
I have been adding more fruit for sure. Just getting used to waking up and having lemon water, and then kind of doing a meditation and having more, fruit. So that's new. I don't know. I'm going to see what happens. I'm not great with like pills. Like I start to feel like if I take so many in consecutive days, so I'll see what happens with the amino acids. And sometimes I'm kind of like more a one complete full meal at lunch more than dinner person. And so getting the second shake and aminos in, I don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see.
yeah, well, again, you just work with your own lifestyle and what your own goals are and what feels right to you. personally, I like to eat my bigger meal during lunch also and kind of go lighter on the dinner meals just so that my digestion has more time.
Yeah.
Gets more of a break while I'm sleeping. So, just you can follow the schedule exactly, but you don't have to also, and you'll still see beautiful
Do you
results.
do your first shake in the morning or late morning or yeah?
Yeah. So personally, how I usually wake up, because I've been pregnant and nursing for the past like 3 or 4 years. So I'm not in a deep cleansing process, but I still use the ULT, like taking everything twice a day outside of the super cleanser. So how it looks for me is I wake up and I drink my lemon water. I take my aminos. I take one biomedic. At this point, I'm just doing one in the morning. I've had higher doses in the past, but
Yeah.
and then I usually wait like 30 minutes or so and I have some fruit and I eat my fruit, and then I usually wait, another 15, 20 minutes and I have my first shake. And often I blend fruit in my shake too to just give it a little more sustenance. And then that usually holds me, to be honest, until, 1 or 2, 12 or 1 or 2. And that's when I have kind of my bigger meal of the day. And I add in the salads, and that's when I kind of add more of the veggies in. And sometimes I do some quinoa or something just since I'm breastfeeding and getting a little more in there, sweet potato. And then I'll eat that, and usually that holds me until about 2 or 3 or 4. And at that point I'll do another shake just in water with my aminos. And then, I usually end the day with like a light dinner around 6 or 7 is what I try to go for. And the dinner again is just more like, that's kind of when I do some of my steamed veggies, and
Yeah.
a little bit more on the cook side than in the mornings is more raw for me. And that's kind of like my day to day, that's like a lifestyle pattern that I have ingrained. And that's going to look different for you guys when you're on the 10-day intensive. I really do suggest trying to be more raw, or at least more lightly steamed, and just kind of steer away from the heavy fatty foods during that time, because your body will be able to release more. And so that 10-day period when you're on the super cleanser is really just to give your body a break, to give your digestion a break. And so just eating more light can really help your body to release more. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That was helpful. Is avocado considered a heavy? It's a fruit, right?
Yeah, it totally is a fruit, and it's definitely more on the fatty side. So what I've been told is to only eat like a half an avocado in a sitting, where your body really can't digest a full one. So I like to try to break that up as well. It's just, I like to think about, like, especially when it comes to nuts. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to like open a macadamia nut or open nuts like in their full form. When I lived in Hawaii, we had a mac nut tree, and it's like a lot of work. Like it took me like an hour to get 5 of those things opened. And so when I'm thinking about the fattier foods, I'm thinking about, well, if I was in nature, like how many of these would I really be able to consume, versus here we kind of live in the quick and easy, just pour olive oil on it and just grab some nuts. But if we were out in nature, it would look a little bit differently. So that's kind of when I'm eating, I try to think of that. I try to think of like, okay, how is this produced in nature? And you notice the fruit just falls from the tree so simply, right? Whereas these other foods are a little bit more intensive to get through.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got a quick question. So for the core 4 compared to the ULT, are you with the core 4 still doing the amino acids twice a day?
So just with the core 4, it's everything once a day.
Okay.
So yeah, the ULT, you get enough to do everything twice a day.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I'm doing, and I do them before I work out or ski with energy. Okay,
which is great.
Sweet.
Yeah. And does anyone else have any questions? Since I brought it up, I could go a little bit more in depth around the food combining. This is really a key factor for me when I'm doing the ultimate lifestyle transformation, is really about how I'm combining my foods. And that's not something we're often taught, I don't think. And I think that's why some people come up with different digestive issues or gas or bloating. It's just, improper food combinations. So kind of like the simplest rules are, eat melons by themselves, eat fruit by itself, and then really try to avoid protein and starches. So the reason being is that protein takes more of an acidic juices to break down, whereas starches require more alkaline juices. So when you eat them together, the gut microbiome kind of cancels each other out, and neither of them digest as well as they could. So that's one of the reasons, and it's hard because in our society, it's a lot of protein and starches. Almost every meal is like a protein and a starch, but it's really not optimal for our digestive system. So, protein and veggies is great. Starches and veggies is great, but trying to avoid that combination of protein and starches can really help with any kind of digestive just funkiness going on, and it can really help us digest our food more and assimilate it more. So those are kind of the number ones. And then, you can get even more in depth about eating subacid fruit away from sweet fruit and those things, but that's a whole nother kind of topic. But primarily I would just say, think about eating proteins with veggies or starches with veggies, fruits by themselves. And another thing with the fruit is to really try to focus on eating fruit that's not too underripe or too overripe. When it's overripe, it has a little bit more, it's been exposed to more. So there's more ability for like molds and candidas, and the sugar's already starting to really like putrefy in some sense. So trying to eat fruit when it's really at its freshest is when your body can absorb it the most as well. And then what else? Those are kind of the key things. Does that bring up questions for anyone?
I have a question, but it's not related to the food combining. So do you want me to hold off?
No, go ahead.
In case anybody has one. Well, so right now I'm doing the ULT, so I'm not eating meat or protein. I was pretty much like a very strict AIP, paleo, low FODMAP, crazy diet. So is there a chance like down the road that I will be able to incorporate a little bit of healthy meat in my diet somewhere down and start? I mean, I'm not doing I'm pretty much just doing the vegetables, the fruit, and the shakes.
Yeah, so again, it's like it all breaks down to what your goals are. And I think the first round of ULT, like I said, it's really just giving your body a break from everything that it's used to from the, because protein, especially complex proteins, have to be broken down into their amino acid form. And so it's really quite an intensive process on the body. It's actually shown like 60% of the complex proteins that people eat actually aren't even broken down. They're just like in the system. And I don't know if you guys have ever looked into blood analysis, but when I was first getting into nutrition, I got my blood analyzed under the microscope, and they take dry and wet samples. And in the wet sample, you can actually see like all the undigested fat and all the undigested proteins just kind of floating around in the system. So the idea with the first ULT is to really just kind of give your body a break and to let go of all that stuff that maybe isn't digested properly, or that's just kind of hanging out, and just allow for the body to release more. So definitely, like if your longer term goals are to, if that's sustainable to you and that's what you feel really good on, for sure. I think again, it's all about having the balance and, knowing the proper food combinations and just giving your body a time where it's just cleansing and repairing. And primarily, what's amazing about the fruits and the veggies is they take so little digestive fire that the body can really focus on healing, because in general, our digestion takes about 80% of our body's energy. And so that's especially why I don't try to eat a big meal before I sleep, because then my body's just spending all that energy on trying to digest rather than using that energy in other places to really rejuvenate the body. And so when we give our digestion a break, when we're doing more pre-digested shakes and the amino acids that are already in their simple form, it basically allows the body to focus on areas that it hasn't been able to focus on. So this month is really just thinking about like, how can I make it so simple in my body that my body can really start to get into that repair mode and really get the acids flushed out and start getting the lymphatic system more, not as congested, so that down the road, I'll be able to reincorporate these foods and my body won't, have an inflammation response or won't be as affected as it has been in the past.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Have you guys had people with, I have a family member who has kidney issues from being a type 1 diabetic for 56 years, mild, but restricted protein diet, low potassium diet, hesitant to recommend it to them just because I was a dietitian in the conventional world. So this is a different approach and it's not one I'm familiar with, even as a functional health coach now. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of, so restrictive protein diet is essential when you have kidney issues, just because our kidneys have to break all that down and process it. And so the number one thing I would suggest is that they just, if they're working with another doctor or a person right now, is they can look at the ingredients and just share the ingredients with the person they're working with to see if it would best suit them. But ideally, the number one things that help the kidneys is when we start to break up the lymph system, because when we have a really overly congested lymph system, our kidneys get super backed up and then they stop functioning as optimally as they could. So one of the tests, I don't know if you guys have seen in our app, we actually have the kidney filtration test, where when you wake up first thing in the morning, it's best if you haven't eaten for like a 12-hour period, is when you usually get the best results. But when you first wake up, you actually pee in a jar and you let that sit for a little while, and then you go look at it a couple hours later, and you actually want to see, like when you're doing a ULT or when you're in the 10-day cleansing, you want to see sediment in your urine. It almost looks like dandruff. And what that means is that the acidic ash is filtering through the kidneys. And when your pee is totally clear, that means that that is all stuck in the kidneys. So that's a really good test to do with people too. And just to see if their kidneys are filtering. And if they're not, that's usually when we suggest going more raw, going more high alkaline, high fruit, taking even some additional kidney herbs to support the process. The tart cherry is phenomenal for the kidneys. The lemon juice is phenomenal. So any of your really astringent foods or astringent herbs like juniper berries and those things are going to be really beneficial for the kidneys. But again, you want to make sure whoever you're working with, you're also showing them the ingredients and you guys are on board of the same plan. And it can take some time to get the kidneys filtering. I know when I first discovered all this, it was all very new to me too. It took me about 3 months to start to see my kidneys filtering. And so sometimes it happens right away for people. Sometimes it takes longer. It just really depends on how much acidic buildup we have in the body. And what also, I have an inherited kind of kidney weakness. So I have even more energy that I have to put towards, repairing my kidneys and stuff. So everybody has a different kind of bag they're dealing with, but the cherries, the watermelon, the lemons, those are all fantastic for the kidneys. All right, and it looks like we're right at 4:30. We can have one more question if anyone else has another one. Otherwise, we will be back next week and we might be extending it to an hour again. We haven't really talked about what our plan is for the new year, but yeah, you're welcome, Veronica. Thanks for being here. But you can count on us being here every Wednesday, either for a half hour or an hour, and Carrie's still doing her Sunday call. So if you want a little more additional support, Carrie's on here on Sundays at 11:15 Central Standard Time, I believe. So, and then also, I don't know if any of you guys have been tuning into some of the reminders in the app, but Dave Sandoval does Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation Q&As every Wednesday and Friday as well. And he's the one who created the ULT. So it's also often a usually really informative resource to utilize as well. So you can find all that information in the app if you haven't already. right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Thanks.
Year.
Thank you.
you.
Happy New Year.